Buddy, there's more than one way to make a pipe stem, and that is to find a branch from a tree that has a hollow center. These are branches from a fig tree. I think this size is just about right, about pinky size. If you have to, you can cut a little bit more of a shape on the edge there, like a chisel, and you can. Second thing you need to do is to go back from the edge there, about a thumb's width, maybe a little bit more. So what's that, about a little bit over an inch, and cut in. It's just with light pressure. This is going to act as a backstop when you start carving. Now I know that in class we teach you not to carve towards yourself, but once you get used to carving, sometimes you have to do that. In this case, I'm going to show that to you in a minute. So here we're going to carve away with a scissoring cut. So anyway, I'm going to keep an eye on the end there. I want it to be roughly 3/8 of an inch when I'm finished. And parallel, I can work it. See, this is how it's safe. Sort of choked up on it. Got a firm hand there. My elbows are in, so it's nice and tight. Nothing to worry about. And I could take this and I could push it towards that. And if it were to slide and skip, it's not going anywhere because it's hitting my own thumb. My own other hand's in the way. So it's not going anywhere. See, it comes up to that 1/8 of an inch. And then it's gone. And then if you have to, just go back over and sort of pinch out those little carving pieces there. See, they just pushing with my thumb. So that part's going to go into the pipe bowl. I'm going to leave it a little bit thicker than I intend because it's going to dry out a little bit. Next, I'm going to take off the bark. You never know what kind of mistakes you might make. I might have made this too skinny. I might have to cut that off. I'm going to want that extra length on the far side. Hey, I told you I'd be showing you a different way of making a pipe stem. The other method is going to involve taking a piece of soft wood. I mean, you can use any wood that you want, but I prefer the soft wood because it's easier to carve. In this case, it's a piece of cedar. Of course, it's way too long, but we'll work with what we have. So I'm going to find where the grain's going. In this case, it's going sideways here, like that. And I'm going to take this knife. I'm going to place it roughly in the middle of the piece of wood that I have, but parallel to those grains, the best that I can get. I'm going to pick up a knocking stick. In this case, this is heavy scrub oak. Pound it with my knife. And start splitting the wood. Okay. Worked out well. What I want is a roughly straight line, and I can make a V cut all the way down following one of the grain lines. This is where the smoke is going to go through later, through this V. Here, I got a piece of weed whacker cordage. So roughly when I'm going to be able to put that down inside of the groove that I'm making. So I'm going to take this Phillips head screwdriver and I'm going to go down the groove. Good. Now what I'm going to do is put a slight bit of glue on the one side of the groove and a bit of glue on the other side. Alright, I'm going to match up these two edges. There. Sides. I'm going to feed the string down through it now that it's together and a little bit on the tacky side, holding itself together. And as the glue is drying, I'm going to be pulling back and forth on this string there, making sure that it stays where it's supposed to be. So, alright, so the wood's matched up at the end, it's matched up sides. You can see I'm still struggling to get this string in the middle, but I'm going to clamp it, make it all nice and happy. Pull that direction. Make sure I didn't pull it all the way through. Left a little tail hanging out. Grab the tail, pull it back a couple inches this direction. Here we are again, and I pulled out the cord from inside of the pipe stem. It's been 24 hours. I'm gonna release all the clamps. Air moves through nice and easily. As well as a trusty knife. You can see we're going to want this to be roughly maybe an inch across to start with. Do is take the knife, put it outside of the circle, and take off a corner. When I get a little bit further in, I might use another type of knife. Here's a pull knife. It braces against your wrist, thumb on the outside, and you pull it towards yourself. Point where you like it. That's a little bit better. Palm of the hand motion. That takes off thin shavings. That's what we're gonna get to draw on some blanks. And see, the grain's gonna run up and down. Oops. So I'm gonna take the one that I want to copy. I'm gonna make some marks on it. It's not easy for you to see, and I'm sorry about that. I'm making marks of where I want it to be cut out. And then I'm going to make the bowl, which is going to be about finger thick across, 3/4 of an inch probably, 5/8, probably going 3/4. Is going to come down here, staying a good pencil width, a good 1/4 inch or more away from the bottom of the pipe, and match up with the smoke hole here. And I'll make a center mark, 3/4 of an inch circle, and then 1/4 inch beyond that. So nice and big. So I got my hand drill out, and I also got out my power drill. You'll see why in a minute, what that means. So what I did was I put an 1/8 of an inch drill bit in. Now I'm going to match it up to the depth of the hole that I want, so it'll make sure that I don't go any further. I'm going to put a little mark on my bit. I'm going to make sure that this mark is showing as I drill around. So holding it as straight as I can. So making sure that it's straight up and down this way, straight up and down that way. And drill. What I'm going to do now is switch up to a slightly bigger bit size. I'm using 3/8 on the this next size that I'll go up to. Not very deep. Yeah, blow it in here, dust comes out there. That means that the two match up. That's what we're looking for. This one, it's got more or less a rounded edge to it, a slight taper, but it's what's the size that I need for my bowl. I want a nice bowl. That way, in case it gets a little torque going on it, I can is for that hole to come out in the bottom. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to cut down this side. And this is what we came up with in terms of the shape for the pipe bowl itself. And now it's time to take files to it. Start with the roughest files, of course. Brace it. Slightly more fine edge files. You can also get files that are, they call them rat tail files because they after the filing, I'll take sandpaper to it, starting with the rough grits, probably about a 60 or 80, work my way up to a 220. I finished the pipe stem, got it down to about this length, felt comfortable to me, just like I did on the other hollow branch ones. I put a little shoulder into it. So this is the 3/8 inch that I also drilled into here, so it fits just right. making it look pretty, getting rid of the tool mark. Well, I wasn't too happy with this color. It seems rather dull and unexciting, so I'm going to go for the walnut. I do like a good walnut. This is the same kind of a finish, it's more of a stain. And because the Danish oil is still wet, this will blend in with it. In between coats, I'm giving it just a light sanding. Some of the fibers in the wood tend to stand up. Did get a nice stain out of mixing acorn husks, the brown husks that are left over after you shell them to get the meat out. Soak those in some mineral spirits and you get a really good stain out of that. Okay, I'm going to let this dry and then I'm going to put another coat of the Danish oil on top. The Danish oil has the shellac in it, which acts as a preservative. I'm gonna have to smoke this cigar for that pipe. The reason is that one of the best things to put inside of your pipe bowl after you finish it is the fine ash from a fine cigar. You just wet it just the tiniest little bit so it sticks. You can even just use a little saliva on your finger. You take the ash and you rub it around the inside of the bowl. That carbon layer of the ash is going to form a protective coating so the wood doesn't burn so easily. I have my pipe, bowl, stem, all handcrafted, stained the way I like it. Anyway, the next step is going to be to put a little bit of carbon on the inside. So I got the cigar that I smoked. Helps to make your pipe bowl last a little bit longer. It is wood. No matter if it's a commercially made one or one that you made yourself, it is eventually going to burn through. That's just the way things are. Let's see how this is going to go. Pipe's still dry, ready to go. Little test. Everything's good. What I have here is a tamper. You can just use a head of a nail, piece of stick, even your finger if you want to tamp. Some Peterson's brand pipe tobacco. And pipe tobacco is necessary. You can't just use cigarette tobacco. It'll burn way too hot, way too fast, and you're going to be wishing you had made different choices in life. Packing your bowl is important. I like to get a small grape-sized portion. You can't feel it, but it's still moist. It's a little bit sticky. It's really good. I like to put it in, and tamp it down a wee bit. Another grape-sized portion. Not too heavy, not too light. testing to make sure that I can still pull air through there easily. I'm not over tamping it. There is an art to it, and you or the person you give this to will eventually learn it. There's a good chance Meredith might be the recipient of this for Christmas. She does like a good pipe smoke every now and then. Maybe not quite as often as I do, but alright. Well, up to the top there, I like to fiddle it in with my thumbs a little bit. Testing, testing, testing. Now what happens if you go a little bit too far in your tamping? Well, you can use like a little pick, a little nail, a little needle, and you can poke some extra holes in it. Kind of loosens it up. Alright. Let's try to light this one. Good times. It's a good tobacco blend. It's a good pipe. I wish you can make one for yourself in any form, fashion, and style that you prefer. So, all the best to you.